After waking up, I discovered I'd become the cannon fodder male supporting character in a novel. My wife turned out to be the down-and-out female supporting role. She, once the beautiful, kind, and cherished daughter of the Liu family, had been reduced to living on the streets with nothing. This was all because the author had set her up as a naive, dumb, and hopelessly romantic character. Yet even so, she has never once been angry with me. She told me, "Everything is yours. If you want, we can even divorce as long as you're happy." Chapter 1. Groggy from sleep, I caught the aroma of cooking. Sitting up on the sofa, I saw Willow carrying dishes toward the dining table. Though she was dressed in plain gray loungewear, her noble grace and cool detachment still shone through. But when her eyes met mine, a gentle smile lit up her face. "George, Grandpa asked me to go to the company, so I can't have breakfast with you," she said. Willow moved to sit beside me, taking my hand with an apologetic look as if missing breakfast together were a serious matter. I knew I had transmigrated. My role was that of an expendable male supporting character. Willow was the female supporting role, once the prized daughter of the Liu family. Yet because I betrayed her by leaking the Liu family's corporate secrets in pursuit of the female lead, the Liu family went bankrupt. Even though she knew the truth, not once did she blame me. Instead, she said, "George, as long as you're happy, I support whatever you do." I don't recall the rest of the plot very clearly. It went something like me acting recklessly in front of the main characters and then getting killed. Meanwhile, determined to help me exact revenge, Willow rallied herself and nearly managed to take down the main characters. In the end, persuaded by the female lead's narrative, she ended up committing suicide. I won't comment on how absurd the plot was. I can only ask, which man wouldn't love such a beautiful and devoted woman? Seeing my silence, Willow's eyes flashed with sorrow, yet she forced a smile and said, "George, do you still want a divorce? It's okay, as long as you're happy, I'm fine with it." She struggled to keep her composure, but her eyes turned red as tears threatened to spill. I could clearly see the hope and fear in them. She longed for us to stay together yet feared I might really divorce her. Still silent, she added, "Honey, there's only a few tens of thousands left in our savings. You can take it all even if it's not much." I reached out, placing my hand on her head and gently stroking her hair, and said, "No divorce, we'll face these hard times together." Willow froze for a moment, her eyes widened before a joyful smile broke through as she couldn't hide her delight. But then worry crept back in as she said, "But honey, I know you've always had feelings for Anna. In the past, my father held you with a marriage contract, but now that he's gone, you're free to leave." "Anna, of course, that's the female lead's name. What kind of person is she anyway?" "In the book, she didn't like me, yet she frequently insisted that Willow divorce me. Her exact words were, 'George never loved you to begin with, why do you cling to him? You know, only the unloved end up as the mistress.' By all logic, anyone would think she loved me, otherwise why meddle in such matters? However, when I asked if she truly loved me, she didn't give a clear answer, just that she hadn't made up her mind. Isn't that absurd?" Coming back to the conversation, I smiled at her and said, "Ever since I was a kid, you've always left me hanging without giving me a clear answer. I love you, but it's only out of habit, and I'm not a dumbass. Can't you see who really loves me?" Willow gasped in surprise. "You never used to talk like that, you never swore," she said. "The original male supporting character in the book who never swore was a dumbass, but I'm not him." Brushing off that topic, I continued, "In any case, please trust me this time, from now on I'll treat you well." "Okay, I believe you," she replied. Willow nodded and cautiously threw herself into my embrace. Seeing that I didn't resist, her smile grew even brighter. Indeed, the book had it that I never even touched Willow, not even held her hand, to prove my loyalty to Anna. With a beauty like hers, how could any man possibly resist? When Willow left, she even reminded me to have a good lunch, telling me not to be stingy with money. She said that even if the Liu family went bankrupt, she'd continue to let me live a good life and never let me suffer. I was nearly moved to tears, thinking to myself, what kind of useless and shameless man would be kept by someone while still harboring feelings for another? But then, I had to start figuring out how to make money. Although being a kept man might be comfortable, I'd still rather earn my own keep. Chapter 2. Carefully recalling the book's setting and searching online, I finally confirmed that this world was also Earth, but a parallel version of it. In other words, many things I knew from my world didn't exist here. For example, this world had no Michael Jackson or his songs, but it did have plenty of pretty boy idols. Well, that made sense, given that this novel was written by a young female author. Then, I confirmed that people's perception of music was at least normal in this world. which meant I could make money. I didn't know how to read sheet music, but I could sing decently. Recording a song on my phone would be simple enough. But where should I send it? Thinking back, I couldn't recall any mention of record labels in the book. I spent the entire day recording songs. By the time I checked the clock, Willow was probably about to return home. So, I went to check the fridge only to find it completely empty. With no other choice, I went downstairs to buy groceries. The book never mentioned Willow's favorite foods, so I just bought what I liked. Braised pork, sweet and sour ribs, meat buns, chicken drumsticks. After all, I couldn't go without meat. Just as I was about to finish cooking, the door opened. Peeking out from the kitchen, I saw Willow walk in looking utterly exhausted. She was clearly drained, her mood not the best, with her delicate brows tightly furrowed. Yet the moment she saw me, she immediately smiled warm and gentle. "You must be hungry." "Dinner's almost ready," I said, flashing her a smile. Willow blinked in surprise. "Did you order takeout already?" I shook my head with a chuckle. "Takeout? No way. I cooked it yourself. You've got to try my cooking." "You know how to cook?" she asked, eyes widening in astonishment. Without hesitation, she kicked off her high heels and ran over barefoot. I naturally pulled her into my arms. She looked thrilled, her face filled with pure happiness. Honestly, with a woman this amazing, the only explanation for the original story's events was that the author was an absolute idiot. I quickly said, "Go change your clothes. By the time you're done, dinner will be ready." Willow glanced toward the kitchen as if trying to verify whether I was actually cooking. Her sneaky little gaze was utterly adorable. Then, satisfied, she happily skipped off to change. I quickly plated the food and set the table. Seeing that Willow still hadn't come out, I headed to the bedroom. And there she was, standing in front of the mirror dressed in a black silk nightgown, a very short, incredibly sexy one. And was that whipped cream? I nearly dropped dead at the doorway. Was this something I was even allowed to see? Chapter 3. Willow's face turned red as she bit her lip as if gathering courage. "George, do you think it looks good?" she asked shyly. Seeing that I didn't respond, she looked a little nervous and added, "I'm not trying to force you into anything. I just thought you might like it. If you don't, or if you're not ready, I can change." What kind of ridiculous setting was this? An outstanding, beautiful woman reduced to a female version of a simp, all thanks to the author's terrible writing. I scoffed inwardly but responded, "I like it. But if you dress like this, there's no way I'll be able to focus on dinner. I'm tempted to put you on the dining table and eat you instead." Willow blushed even more, but happiness shone through her expression. She nodded and said, "Then I'll change. I'll wear it tonight instead." And then, like an absolute idiot, I blurted out, "Got any black stockings?" Willow gasped, eyes wide in surprise. She was clearly caught off guard. But her face remained flushed as she stammered, I don't really like black stockings, but I do have nude-colored ones. Do you like those? If not, I can go buy some right now." "Nude ones work too," I replied, grinning mischievously. At that moment, I felt like the biggest creep. A normal woman would probably be put off by this kind of talk. But Willow looked as if she had just received the greatest gift in the world. Once she changed into casual loungewear, we sat down to eat together. Feeling a little awkward, I said, "Willow, I never really paid much attention to what you like to eat before. I just went with what I'm good at, mostly meat dishes. Just try it and see if you like it." Willow shook her head vigorously. "I love it. As long as you made it for me, I'll love anything you cook." She lowered her head, and her long hair cascaded down, obscuring her face. I stood up, walked behind her, slipped the small hair tie off my wrist, and gently gathered her hair into a simple ponytail. When I sat back down, I noticed that her eyes had turned red. Tears welled up as she choked out, "George, you've never treated me this well before. It feels too unreal. I'm so scared this is just a dream, and that I'll wake up from it." I quickly wiped away her tears and reassured her, "You're amazing, beautiful, have a great figure, and love me so much. I'd have to be a complete idiot not to cherish you." Willow's sobs quieted as she looked at me, still surprised by my way of speaking. But I didn't care. After dinner, I told her to shower first while I cleaned up. That alone moved her to near tears again. Once I finished tidying up the kitchen, I carefully pushed open the bedroom door only to find that she had already fallen asleep. She hadn't even taken a shower. She hadn't even changed clothes. She had simply collapsed on the bed and drifted off. She must have been exhausted. Originally, I had planned to ask her about record labels, but I couldn't bear to wake her. To be honest, I'd also been thinking about doing something a little bad with her, but more than that, I just felt sorry for her. I couldn't disturb her sleep. Instead, I lay down beside her and pulled her into my arms, my mind already spinning with the question, who should I ask about the record industry? I had searched online, but there was nothing useful. Most likely, the author hadn't even bothered to include details about the music industry in the novel. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found a number: Anna's. In the story, she was a musical prodigy. She had written several songs and used the earnings as seed money to help the male lead start his business. Looks like I had no choice but to ask her. I sent her a message: I need the contact information and address of a record label. Thanks. If I had any other options, I wouldn't have messaged her at all. I didn't want Willow to misunderstand. Her reply came almost instantly: George, are you doing okay? You should hurry up and divorce Willow. Otherwise, you'll be stuck shouldering her family's debt. Disgusting. The company went bankrupt because she had sabotaged it. And now, she was trying to convince me to divorce Willow. I responded with just one message: I need the phone number and address of a record label. Please send it to me. This time, her side showed typing for a long time. It was only after a long pause that she finally sent the information. Then, I saw her typing again. Before she could send another message, I blocked her. As I was about to put my phone away, I noticed something: Willow's eyes seemed to have just closed. Had she been awake? Or was I imagining things? I didn't dwell on it. Instead, I changed my phone's password, then took Willow's hand and recorded her fingerprint. Only then did I finally go to sleep. Chapter 4. The next morning, I was the first to wake up. After tucking the blanket around Willow, I couldn't resist looking at her soft, delicate lips. Before I knew it, I leaned down and stole a quick kiss. Then, I got up to make breakfast. Honestly, after spending so much time being a pathetic simp in my past life, having things reversed like this felt like a dream. By the time breakfast was ready, Willow emerged from the bedroom. Her face was flushed, and during the meal, she kept stealing glances at me. Who knew what was going on in that little head of hers? After eating, she suddenly asked, George, do you have anything planned for today? I was washing the dishes and replied without turning around, I have somewhere to go. If things go well, I'll come back with some money. Willow nodded but didn't say anything more. Not long after, she left for work. Before leaving, she left the car keys for me, saying it would be more convenient for me to use the car while running errands. She also mentioned that if she could resolve some lingering company issues, she might be able to recover some of the losses. Then, almost reluctantly, she said, George, you'll always treat me this well, right? I nodded, pulled her into a hug, and planted a kiss on her lips. Soft, bouncy, cool, and fragrant. I really wanted to devour her right then and there. Blushing, she ran off, pausing at the elevator to say, George, you really don't need to worry about money. I can keep making money for you like before. I nodded. If you're making money for me, then I'll make money for you too. After tidying up, I changed into a suit, grabbed the car keys, and headed out. Before long, I arrived at the Anna Record Company. I smirked, of course, the female lead had a company named after her. How predictable. At the reception desk, I told the receptionist that I had written an absolute banger of a song and wanted to meet the boss. She didn't believe me at first, so I just sang a classic hit from my past life on the spot. The receptionist was shocked. Immediately, she led me straight to the boss's office. But the moment I stepped inside, I was not expecting what I saw. Willow was sitting on the couch. Across from her sat another woman dressed in a simple white dress, looking as delicate as a fragile little flower. None other than Anna herself. Upon seeing me, Anna shot Willow a smug, triumphant glance. Willow's expression faltered, her face tinged with sadness. Seeing her like this tugged at my heartstrings. Anna smirked and turned to Willow. I told you, didn't I? George would come looking for me. Deep down, I matter more to him than you do. Just hurry up and divorce him already. He doesn't even love you, he only married you because of an arranged marriage. You're so selfish, so disgusting. Willow's eyes reddened, and tears welled up. She didn't even have the courage to look at Anna. Like a defeated soldier, she stood up. When she turned to look at me, her gaze was filled with hurt, reluctance. And why was there a hint of blessing in her eyes? I immediately said, Willow, don't listen to that dog barking. I'm not here for her, I'm here to pitch a song. Willow froze. This was the first time she had ever heard me insult Anna. Anna's smugness shattered as she gaped at me in disbelief. George, what did you just say? Did you just insult me? I shrugged. Isn't it obvious? What, are you deaf, you dumbass? Anna looked like she had been struck by lightning. Seething, she snapped, you're just making excuses. I know you too well. You're here for me, aren't you? What song could you possibly pitch? Since when can you even write music? I nodded. Of course I can. Anna scoffed. Oh, really? Fine. Show me a song, and I'll believe you. I looked at her like she was an idiot and said, do I need your approval? My spouse and I are doing just fine, but you must have eaten too much shit to keep pushing us to divorce. Anna's jaw dropped, completely speechless. Her brain looked like it was about to short-circuit. Willow, on the other hand, was already somewhat used to my swearing, but she still looked surprised. Then, I turned toward the actual boss, an old bald man who had been silently watching the show from behind his desk. I've written a song that'll set the industry on fire. Want to hear it? Chapter 5. The bald boss was momentarily stunned, probably thinking I was being way too arrogant. Come on, I had literally transmigrated into a novel and had a golden finger, why shouldn't I act cocky? He finally said, well, alright then. I've got nothing better to do anyway. He nodded, seemingly interested. I also found it strange, this guy was actually pretty handsome, so why was he bald? It felt weirdly out of place. I pulled Willow to sit beside me on the couch, crossed one leg over the other, and said, no need to play any recordings, I'll sing live. Then I started singing. I began with Hotel California by the Eagles, then moved on to Yesterday by the Beatles, followed by Bohemian Rhapsody, and finally Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. As for newer pop songs, I skipped them because the young author of this novel had already written those into this world. By the time I was done, my throat was nearly on fire. The bald boss personally handed me a glass of water. Willow looked at me, her eyes overflowing with admiration. Anna? She was still processing, completely frozen. She never expected me to be this good. Of course I was good, wasn't it obvious? I was basically cheating. The bald boss immediately asked, Sir, are you selling all of these songs? I nodded. All of them. But I doubt you can afford them. The bald boss scoffed. You think I can't afford it? My company is worth trillions. You think I don't have the money? Yeah, you heard that right. Trillions. And no, he wasn't bluffing, it was just part of the ridiculous novel setting. To make the female lead seem even more impressive, the author had written this record label as a trillion-dollar company with its boss practically begging Anna to write songs for him. It also conveniently explained why the boss valued talent so highly. I nodded. Alright then, 10 million per song, and we split all future royalties 50-50. Deal? He immediately agreed. No problem. I added, oh, by the way, I meant 10 million USD. He chuckled. So did I. And just like that, the deal was sealed in seconds. Because that's just how the author had set it up. The moment this billionaire record label boss met real talent, he was programmed to immediately throw money at them. Anna, however, was not happy. She pouted and complained, Boss John, what do you mean by this? When you bought my songs, you only paid 5 million and it wasn't even in USD. Why does he get so much more? Boss John gave an awkward chuckle but didn't respond. I, on the other hand, had zero mercy. You call those brainless disposable pop jingles songs? I sneered. You Anna's eyes welled up with tears. She pointed at me, her voice trembling. George, you never treated me like this before. What's wrong with you? Why are you treating me this way now? I completely ignored her and turned to Willow. Why are you here? Did she ask you to come? Willow nodded, looking aggrieved. I continued, let me guess, she told you I'd come running to her. That I still couldn't let her go. That you should give up on me. Yes. Willow nodded. Then, suddenly, she clung to my arm and whispered, when I saw you walk in, I really thought you were leaving me. I immediately shook my head. Willow, let's be real here, I said. Look at yourself, you're way better than her in every way. You're more talented, more beautiful, and your body is perfectly curvy. Meanwhile, she's built like a damn flat-screen TV. On top of that, you love me unconditionally, while she's been stringing me along for years, never giving me a straight answer. Tell me, why on earth would I ever choose her over you? I'd have to be clinically stupid. Willow hesitated. Really? Am I really better than her? Look, normally, comparing two women like this would be really scummy of me. But I don't want you to feel insecure. So yes, you're better than her in every possible way. Then I turned back to Boss Chan and asked, Boss, if you had to choose between them, who would you pick? Boss Chan let out a nervous laugh but wisely chose not to answer. He clearly didn't want to offend anyone. Anna was trembling all over, gritting her teeth. No, this is impossible. I get it now, George, you're deliberately belittling me to get my attention, aren't you? I chuckled. Oh, please, stop making up delusions in your head. You don't even like me, yet you keep trying to break up my marriage while lecturing me about pursuing true love. What does my love life have to do with you? Are you just brain dead? Anna's mouth fell open, but no words came out. Boss Chan let out a weary sigh. Miss Sue, to be honest, Mr. Wang is absolutely right. You don't have feelings for him, yet you insist on interfering in his marriage. Not only is that unethical, but it's also quite baffling. The most important thing here is that everyone knows how much Willow loves Mr. Wang. Any normal person would encourage him to cherish his wife. But you? You keep pushing for a divorce. I truly don't understand. At that moment, the office door swung open. A man in a meticulously tailored suit strode in. How do I describe him? He looked weird, but I instantly recognized him. He was the male lead, Makoto. His facial structure looked like it had been drawn with a ruler, sharp, geometric, and unnaturally symmetrical. Ah, right, the author had written his features as being chiseled like they were carved by a blade. Except, it just looked weirdly unnatural. Then there were his huge piercing eyes, which should have been striking, but his eyebrows were strangely thin and barely visible. I dug through my memory and recalled the author's exact words. His brows were like distant mountain mist. What kind of nonsense was that? To top it off, his lips were absurdly thin, and his jawline was razor-sharp. And the most ridiculous part? I could see his abs through his dress shirt. I mean, come on, who has a 16-pack? Is this guy even human? At that moment, I silently thanked this brain-dead author for at least writing Willow's beauty normally. Otherwise, I might have just given up on life. Makoto looked at Anna, his face full of concern. Anna, why are you crying? Did they bully you? He rushed over and immediately pulled Anna into his arms. Anna sobbed, George said Willow is better than me. That she's prettier, that she has a better body. How could he say that? What? Makoto turned to me, then gave Willow a long scrutinizing look. Then he nodded. Anna, while everything George said is true, so what? No matter how talented, beautiful, or well-shaped someone else is, I still love you. Anna burst into even louder sobs. Honestly, I wasn't expecting this male lead to not only look abstract but to also think abstractly. Makoto gently let go of Anna, then strode over to me. Without a word, he pulled out his checkbook, scribbled down a number, and tossed it onto the table in front of me. This is 100 million. Take it. From now on, never appear in front of Anna again. I immediately picked up the check and pocketed it, smiling brightly. Mr. Ito, don't worry, I only love Willow. I can guarantee I won't actively seek out Anna. But if we run into each other by coincidence, or if she comes looking for me, well, that's not on me, is it? Makoto confidently replied, I'm not worried about chance encounters. And I know Anna would never come looking for you. Chapter 6. I nodded and turned to Boss Chan. Alright, let's go sign the contract. Then, without sparing another glance at Anna or Makoto, I grabbed Willow's hand and walked out. Boss Chan quickly followed behind us. We headed to the conference room, where we called in the legal team and industry professionals. As I sang, they transcribed the lyrics and melodies, making everything official. By the time we finished, the sky had already turned dark. And in my hands, a massive fortune. As I held Willow's hand, I told her, you don't have to worry about money anymore. From now on, we'll be living the good life. Willow nodded happily, her smile radiant with joy. When we got home, I cooked another meal for her. But tonight, unlike last time, she didn't fall asleep from exhaustion. Instead, she slipped into a nightgown and put on the brand new black stockings she had bought. Chapter 7. As I walked toward her, I could feel my own creepiness. My smile was definitely sleazy, my eyes were probably red with excitement, and my expression must have been impatient like a restless monkey. But Willow didn't seem to mind at all. Instead, she looked at me with happiness all over her face, waiting for me to claim her. That night, we barely slept. It was almost dawn when I finally held her in my arms and drifted off. And when I did, I slept straight through till noon. When I woke up, I got busy making breakfast for her. She stayed by my side, helping me out in the kitchen. Sigh. A life like this, for a loser like me, was nothing more than a fantasy. I should probably thank that brain-dead author. But how did I even end up in this world? Can I stay here forever? To be honest, I don't want to leave. In this world, I have money. I have Willow. In the real world, all I have is endless work and nowhere to vent my stress. Whatever. I'll just enjoy it while it lasts. In the afternoon, Willow and I went to the company together. I told her that now that I had money, I wanted to revive Lou Corporation. And more than that, I wanted to actually do something rather than just sit back and collect money every year. She was supportive, but on one condition, that whatever I did, I had to take her with me. Seeing her clingy little expression made me incredibly happy. It didn't take long for the company to get back on its feet. My songs became massive hits, and even when Chan the CEO attended events, he made sure to bring both me and Willow along. I became famous. My fame brought even more business to the company. I thought we would stay happy forever. But then, out of nowhere, Anna made a post online. She accused me of stealing her work. Anna has long been a musical prodigy, a successful entrepreneur, and an active internet user. She has over 10 billion followers. Yes, that's right, over 10 billion. It sounds absurd, but that's exactly how the author wrote it. Her fans blindly believed everything she said. Soon, the entire internet was tearing me apart. Not just me, they were attacking Willow too. If they had only insulted me, I wouldn't have cared. But Willow? That I couldn't ignore. So I made an account and started fighting back. But her fans were like mindless bots. No matter what I said, they refused to believe me. That night, Anna called me. When I picked up, she said, "George, as long as you." Before she could finish, I cut her off. "If you have something to say, let's talk in person." Anna suddenly sounded excited. "All right, George. I've been wanting to see you. I've been thinking about you all this time." I hung up and muttered, "She's nuts." Willow, lying in my arms, looked at me with concern. "George, will you ever leave me?" I replied, "Don't overthink it." I shook my head and said, "I've told you I will love you for the rest of my life. And if there's a next life, I'll still love you. I mean, come on, a woman this perfect. Even in 100 lifetimes, I'd never get tired of her." Chapter 8. The next day, I met Anna at a private club. She had clearly dressed up for the occasion, light makeup, a fresh and innocent look. But I couldn't care less. The moment she saw me, she eagerly clung to my arm and sat down beside me. "George, I've thought it through these past few days," she said passionately. "I've realized that I've always loved you, not Makoto. I just thought we were too close, so I mistook my feelings for you as familial love. But ever since you said Willow was better than me, I finally understood I care about you more than I ever knew." I pulled my arm away. "Don't do this. I have self-respect, and I suggest you stop acting so desperate. As far as I know, you're already married to Makoto." She replied, "But I can divorce him. I'll do anything for you." As she spoke, she started pulling down her dress, her voice dripping with seduction. "George, I love you. I can give myself to you right now. Come on." I immediately jumped up, stepping away. "Let's talk about why you slandered me first. Those works were mine, why did you claim they were yours?" She smiled. "Because if I hadn't done that, you wouldn't have responded to me. I did it because I love you. It's proof of my love." Is she insane? I was speechless. Then I said, "I'll say it again, I love only one woman in this life. My wife, Willow. As for you, Anna, not only do I not love you, but I find you repulsive." With that, I turned to leave. Anna broke down, screaming, "Impossible. You're supposed to love me." "Screw you," I cursed before walking straight out of the room. And just like that, everything was settled. Why? Because I owned this club. I had set up live streaming equipment in the room. From the moment we started talking, the entire thing had been broadcasted live. I checked my phone, her brain-dead fans had already turned against her. That's when I finally felt at ease. Just as I was about to leave, I saw Makoto burst in. He was holding a knife. For a moment, I thought I was about to die. But Makoto didn't come for me. It's none of your business. Get out of my way, he shouted. I'm going to kill that cheating woman. Anyone who betrays me must die. Then he stormed into the room. It didn't take long before I heard the screams. And the entire murder was live-streamed. Makoto was arrested soon after. With that, life with Willow returned to peace. But one day, I woke up and found her lifeless. A voice echoed in my head, if you give up all your wealth, you can take her back to your world. But she will forget you. What will you choose? I didn't hesitate. I chose to lose everything. Even if I ended up with nothing, I couldn't let the woman I loved die. Even if this was just a story I had somehow entered. Even if she had only loved me for less than a year. No matter what, I had to let her live. Then I drifted into unconsciousness again. When I woke up, I was back in my tiny rented apartment. Everything felt both familiar and strange. No Willow. Just spreadsheets glowing on my computer screen. Was it a dream? I asked myself. Checking the time, I realized only a single day had passed. So, it really was a dream. I shook it off and went back to work, grinding like a corporate drone. Then a message popped up in the company group chat, George, come to the office. It was from the CEO. I walked in, thinking I hadn't caused any trouble recently. In fact, I had even secured a few deals. So why was I being called in? The boss leaned back in his chair, rubbing his beer belly. George, you've been with the company for 4 years now, right? Lately, you've brought in some solid revenue. So I've decided to send you to our overseas headquarters for training. You should make the most of this opportunity. I was pleasantly surprised and immediately agreed. But when I got home, the emptiness hit me again. No Willow. Maybe a change of scenery would help me forget. But how could I possibly forget a woman like her? Even if she was just a dream. When I arrived abroad, I quickly dove into my work. I also realized something, the dream had changed me. I had become bolder, more driven. Before long, I was promoted to manager. And on that very day, the CEO wanted to meet me. As I stepped into the office, my breath caught in my throat. There, sitting at the desk reviewing documents with focused intensity, was her. Willow. I was really seeing her. So, it wasn't a dream. Or maybe it was, but fate had somehow led me to her. I didn't care anymore. No matter the difference in our status, I was going to pursue her. President. My voice came out hoarse. She lifted her gaze and looked at me briefly before pointing to the chair across from her desk. George, right? Take a seat first, I have something to take care of. As she spoke, she casually pushed a small snack box across the desk toward me. If you get bored, help yourself. I looked down at the box. Inside were colorful gummy candies, the very same kind Willow used to love. I stared at them, my heart pounding. I had no idea how long she worked before finally putting the documents down. Then she smiled at me. So, you actually managed to close a deal with Andrew? He's the most ruthless gang leader in this city. How did you pull that off? She was referring to a recent business deal I had successfully negotiated. As for how I did it, I was reckless. Andrew had said that if I wanted to do business with him, I had to play Russian roulette. So I played. I pointed the gun at my head and pulled the trigger 3 times. All 3 were empty. Andrew was impressed by my guts and agreed to the deal. Of course, afterward, he told me that there had never been a bullet in the gun to begin with. But I hadn't cared. I couldn't forget Willow. I didn't even know if my experience with her had been real or just a dream. I had been ready to die. Then I asked, President, let me tell you a story. It's a bit unbelievable, but would you like to hear it? Willow hesitated for a moment. Then she picked up a gummy candy and popped it into her mouth. I'm not busy today. Go ahead. And so, I told her about my dream. I watched as she seemed lost in thought. Then I forced a bitter smile. President, just treat it as a pathetic attempt to flirt with you. Don't take it seriously. She wouldn't believe me. And she definitely wouldn't fall for me. Our worlds were too far apart. But as I reached the door, her voice stopped me. I'm single right now, she said. We could give it a try.